You're sipping something fermented right now, or you will be by Friday, and your liver has been bracing for this exact moment for 10 million years. The question sounds simple. When did our ancestors start drinking? But the honest answer is older, weirder, and far more biological than any tavern in any history book. Try this on. Long before humans built a single still, before grain, before pottery, before language as we'd recognize it, your own genome was already being rewritten to handle alcohol. The first drinkers in your family tree weren't people, they were apes. And the smoking gun has a name, a DH4. In 2014, biochemist Matthew Carrigan and his team resurrected ancient versions of a digestive enzyme called ADH4 from across the primate family tree. ADH4 is one of the proteins that breaks down ethanol in your gut. For most of primate history, that enzyme was sluggish, almost useless against alcohol. Then, around 10 million years ago, in the common ancestor of humans, chimps, and gorillas, a single mutation flipped a switch and made ADH4 roughly 40 times more efficient. 40 times. Overnight, in evolutionary terms, your great-great-grandparent of a great ape gained the ability to drink fermenting fruit without keeling over, which raises an awkward question. Why would evolution bother? Picture the floor of an African forest 10 million years ago. The climate is cooling, the canopy is thinning, and fruit that used to be plucked ripe from branches is now lying on the ground, where yeast has gotten to it first. Yeast eats sugar and excretes ethanol. That fallen mango isn't a snack anymore. It's a low-proof cocktail. An ape that could metabolize that ethanol could eat what its picky cousins had to walk past. More calories, less competition, a slight buzz thrown in as a bonus. This is the heart of the so-called drunken monkey hypothesis, proposed by biologist Robert Dudley, and the ADH4 finding gave it teeth. So the clean answer is, humans started drinking 10 million years ago. Except that's not quite right either, because tolerating alcohol isn't the same thing as drinking it on purpose. For most of those 10 million years, your ancestors were stumbling onto ethanol by accident, the way a possum finds a dropped beer can. Real drinking, deliberate, repeated, social, required something else. It required us to stop waiting for the forest to ferment things for us and start fermenting things ourselves. And the moment we crossed that line is genuinely astonishing. At Raqefet Cave in Israel, archaeologists led by Li Lu of Stanford found stone mortars carved into the cave floor. Inside them, microscopic residues of fermented wheat and barley, beer, dating to about 13,000 years ago, older than agriculture, older than bread, older than the wheel by a wide margin. Let that sit. We were brewing before we were farming, which scrambles the order of the story we usually tell ourselves. The textbook version goes, humans invent farming, get a grain surplus, and one lucky day, a sloppy storage jar produces beer. But Raqefet, along with similar hints from sites like Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, suggests it might have run the other way. Some archaeologists, going back to a 1953 debate sometimes called the beer before bread hypothesis, have argued we may have domesticated grain at least partly because we wanted to keep the buzz coming. The grain surplus didn't accidentally produce beer. Beer may have helped produce the grain surplus. Civilization in this telling has a hangover written into its founding documents. Now, an honest objection. 13,000 years is only the oldest confirmed brewery. People surely drank long before that, in gourds and skins and hollowed wood, containers that rot. We're not seeing the start of intentional alcohol. We're seeing the start of intentional alcohol that left a fossil. The real beginning is older, and we'll probably never pin it down, which is also why the evidence we do have is so striking. Multiple cultures, with no contact, all reached for fermentation. China, around 7000 BCE, chemist Patrick McGovern analyzed pottery shards from Jiahu and found traces of a drink made from rice, honey, hawthorn, and grape. Mesopotamia, Egypt, the Andes, sub-Saharan Africa. Everywhere humans settled, they brewed something. That's not coincidence. That's pressure, and it raises a question your body has already answered. Why are you so well equipped to process a substance that, in excess, will destroy you? Because evolution doesn't optimize for your long-term well-being. It optimizes for not dying before you reproduce. A primate squeezing extra calories from rotting fruit won that round. The fact that the same trick can poison your liver at 40 was not selection's problem. You were built for the buzz. The bill came later. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. If alcohol has been woven into us for 10 million years, years, the line between food, medicine, ritual, and intoxication has never been clean. Egyptian workers building the pyramids were paid in beer, roughly a gallon a day per laborer. Sumerian hymns to Ninkasi, the goddess of beer, doubled as brewing recipes. In the ancient Mediterranean, drinking only water was considered slightly suspicious. Drinking wasn't a vice. It was breakfast, payroll, prayer, and pharmacy in the same cup. The modern alcohol problem is a recent label laid on a species that's been fermented adjacent since before it was a species. That doesn't make addiction less real, it makes it more poignant. We're running ancient machinery in a world that has industrialized the input. A fallen mango is not a bottle of vodka. Your liver hasn't been told. So when did ancient humans start drinking? Each answer is true. 10 million years ago, when one mutation taught your ancestors' enzymes to recognize ethanol as food. 13,000 years ago, when a few people in a cave in Israel decided fermentation was worth scheduling. 7,000 years ago, when a village in China combined rice, honey, and fruit into the first known cocktail. 5,000 years ago, when the Sumerians wrote it down and put a goddess in charge. The arc is a single sentence with no period. Tonight, someone will lift a glass, beer brewed by the same yeast that visited those Reykjavik mortars, wine from a vine first domesticated in the Caucasus, sack descended in spirit from McGovern's Jiahu jars. The hand around the glass is new, everything inside it is old. Take a sip of whatever you're holding. You're not starting anything. You're continuing it. Cheers to 10 million years of bad ideas that somehow built a civilization. A quick note before you go. None of this is a recommendation. Alcohol is a real drug with real costs, and the older the story gets, the easier it is to forget that. Drink less than you think, or don't drink at all. The history is fascinating. The hangover is not.